welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at Crud operations, and we're going to focus on R, which means read. A lot of the concepts that you'll see in today's video you may already be familiar with, so you can use this video as a review opportunity. Also, we're going to look at some tips and tricks to help us organize files and data within our project as a full-stack developer. So please stick around for those tips and tricks too. In today's tutorial, we're going to be working on a file called index.php. And if you see a file called index.php or index.html, that file is probably the home page of the website. Okay, so this is going to be our home page. And in the home page, we're going to show a table of data relating to social media users. We're also going to have a navigation bar, which will allow us to quickly link to other pages in the website. I'll talk about that in a moment. As you can see, in my index.php file, there's no style section. Okay? The reason is, in this project, I'm going to be including my CSS code in a separate file. I've called it style.css. Okay, so my project files are going to have to link to this file in order to access the CSS. How do we link to a CSS file? I can never remember how to do it, so let's see if we can figure it out. Link to CSS. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to take that link code and I'm going to paste it into the head section of my web page. And just make sure that the file name is the same as your file name. Mine's called style.css, so I'm just going to make that the same. Okay. Now, to see if this works, let's just save that. I'm going to style h1 tags in my project. So let's just do that. We'll make it very simple. So let's save this and go back to where I'm requesting the file from my web server and refresh. Yay, it works. Okay. So we're linking to a separate CSS file, which is going to allow us to kind of declutter this main project file. We're not going to be distracted by thousands of lines of CSS. Let's just keep that separate. Now, another change that I've made, do you remember all that code that we wrote to connect to the database? I've taken all of that code and I've saved it in a separate file called dbconnect.php. Here it is. Now, the reason I've done that is that lots of my project files, not just this one, are going to need that code. So rather than copy and paste that code at the top of each file, I'm just going to separate it into its own file and then include that file. Oops, I think I need quotation marks. Just include that file in other project files. Okay? Now the beauty of that is if I include this file in multiple project files, but I need to change the code, I only have to change it here. Okay? I don't have to go and change every individual file. So that's really convenient. Okay? So let's save that and refresh the page. Hopefully, we're going to see this connected successfully message that we saw before. Let's see if it works. Yay, it works. Okay. All right, now before I continue, just going to jump into XAMPP and look at my project environment. Let's open the application folder, jump into htdocs, which is where all of our server files are going to reside. I've created a new project folder called social data, and this is where we can see all of my project files. There's index.php that we're working on today. There's my style sheet file. There's my dbconnect file. And in this project, we're going to be working on a create, a delete, and an update file as well. In fact, I want my index.php file to link to each of these three files using a navigation bar. So let's just set that up now as well. Now I can never remember how to design a navigation bar. I'm just going to cheat again. I'm going to go to W3 Schools and I'm going to do a search for a nav bar. There we go. Now let's see if I can find exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to do a search. Let's do Command F. I'm going to do a search for nav, and I'm looking specifically, yes, looking for a horizontal nav bar. This is the one that I'm interested in. And it's going to look like this. Okay. So let's just go to try it yourself. Okay. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Let's copy all of the CSS in the style section. Copy all of that. Paste it into our style sheet file. And save it. Command S. Let's go back to index.php and copy the actual HTML into the body section. This here is the nav bar code. So let's copy that and let's paste that at the top of the body. I want this to be the first thing that we see in the body. And let's just paste that across to make it a bit more readable. Now let's save that and let's go and refresh. Yay, okay. So this home link, I'm not going to change that because this is the home page. When I click home, I don't want anything to happen. The next option, I want to jump to my create page. So this is going to jump to create.php in my project folder. This one's going to be update. I'm going to jump to my update file. And this one's going to be my delete. And that's going to jump to my delete.php. Okay, let's save that and refresh. Just see if it looks correct. Okay, so this is going to be my navigation bar. And we'll be working with this in this tutorial series. All right, guys, we are ready to do a quick review of how to read data from a database table and include it in a web page. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I need to do is create a little PHP block. And the purpose of this block is to run and store the results of a query. Okay, and we've done this before. If you've followed this course from the beginning, I'm going to create a PHP variable. I'm just going to call it SQL, and this is where I'm going to actually store my SQL command. Very easy one today. Select everything from the database table. That was social data, no capitals. Okay, so that's my SQL. I'm now going to run that SQL and grab the result. So let's create another variable to do that. I do need my connection variable to contact the database. So let's use that. Hey, connection variable, can you run a function called query? And a query function, we are going to give you some data. I'm going to give you this SQL. Okay, and to see if that works, let's echo result numRows, just to see what we get. So we'll save that and refresh the page. Yay, 29 records of data are now stored in the result. And remember, each row or each record has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. And these are the fields that we want to display in a table in our web page. So now that we've got our result, let's go into the body of our web page and let's start to, just going to give myself a bit of room here. Let's generate a table to display the results. So there's my table. Inside that table, the first row is going to have all of the header, table header information. So ID, first name, last name, location, Okay, so that's the first row. All of the other rows are going to be generated dynamically using PHP. So we need another PHP block. Let's include a little bit of logic here. If our result has a number of rows which is greater than 0, that's where we're going to be dynamically generating rows. Else, let's just echo no results. Okay, so if we have some rows, we're going to loop through them. And we're going to use a helper variable to grab the latest row from the result. Let's just give myself a bit more room here. Now don't worry if you can't remember this code. You can always do some research on the internet to figure out how to loop through the result of an SQL query using PHP. That's really what we're doing here, okay? So for each row, we're going to need a new HTML table row. So let's start a new row. And in each row, we're going to need a data cell. And inside that data cell, we're going to include all of the fields associated with the row. Okay. So now remember, those fields are ID, first name, last name, location, and age. Okay. So let's display the ID. And don't forget to close the data cell. Okay. So open a data cell, stick the data in it, and don't forget to just close it as well. And we're going to do that for first name, last name, location, and age. Make sure these are exactly the same as the field names in the database table, or it won't work. Okay. And once we've populated all of the data cells in this new row, don't forget to close the row. Okay, so the first row is going to be generated. We'll generate a new row. Then we go back into the while loop. We grab the next row from the result. We'll generate a new row, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, another one. We're going to do that 29 times because we've got 29 rows in the result. Okay. And then when we come out of the PHP dynamically generating those rows, don't forget to close the table. Okay. Well, let's just bring this back. Now then, let's see if it works. Let's save the page and refresh. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, it could be because I haven't used a semicolon there. It could be. Hopefully, nothing more than that. Okay, we got it. Brilliant. Now let's make this look a little bit prettier. Let's go into style.css, and I'm going to format the data cells and the table header cells. I'm going to give them some padding, let's say 7 pixels. Let's give it a border, 1 pixel border, which is, let's say, black and solid. Let's just save that and refresh the page. For some reason that's not working. Why is that not working? That's interesting. Ooh. Okay, I'm not going to waste time trying to fix that. In this video, you see if you can make your table look a little bit more presentable than I've managed to do.